and I had 26 of them. I mean, I'd be still doing it now. But this is that's my basic tool, and these are the other tools I use. And I do most of my work with that, which unfortunately they don't make it anymore. So I'm getting very worried. There's about 6 of them, and I had them reground because I'm dreadful at regrinding my tools. I send them off to be reground. And some of them are just the steel's getting lower and lower and lower. I just know what's going to happen when that goes forever, and you have to start cutting collages or something. So that's that one. That's a tool I never used to use very much. It's quite a small V tool, which allows for quite sort of straight, controlled lines. And this is one of my favourite ones, which is, I've got other widths of those, but that's a U tool, which is just for cleaning up. I just sort of chip away and clean away. But that's my scoring tool really. So, and then these are my other tools, which is basically the pencil. Someone said, if you don't have an idea with a penny pencil, the golden pencil is not going to help. I think that's very true. I think that's the problem with the generation that I teach or I've taught. With the computer, they tend to go onto that thing and not think about this thing and this thing. Really, they're waiting for the machine to do it. What's very interesting though is in a way there's a swing back, and I think that's what's very interesting myself and a lot of younger illustrators. They're sort of rediscovering sort of craft. It's a funny word, but actually craftsmanship. They're actually they're looking at lithography, engraving, woodcuts, lino-cuts as a sort of a beginning of work. But then they might be, as I did with this book, and use the computer to actually as a tool rather than just another medium to work with, rather than letting it control you. And I think that's very interesting. What I always say, the thing is that what you want to see is, to me, the image is important. How it's done in the end is not so constant. But if I see the technique first of all, I go, oh yes, it's on Photoshop. It's done on Illustrator. I went to, I don't know if any of you know a wonderful wood engraver called John Lawrence. There's John Lawrence and David Gentleman, the two great ones, I think. And I went to the Society of Wood Engravers and I said, oh God, if I see another dry stone wall and a sheep, and that's what it seems to be about, this sort of strange past. I think what I want to do is try and drag it into the modern world. So that's a lot of nasty marketing tape, which seems to be sticky on both sides. So what I did before I did this was, it won't be the best cut ever, but I did a quick bit of Dulwich picture go, and I thought I'd just show you the process I go through. I won't be able to cut it today, but I'll start it and show you. So I did a rough drawing. Now what I've got here, and if you want, these are some of the sketchbooks or rough books for the work in this. And what I tend to do is I tend to work on layout paper a lot, because what I find is I can do a scribble and I want to rework it and rework it and rework it, because I think part of this is it's a design process as much as a spontaneous process. I mean, I've got to make them work as designs as much as images. I think that's a really important thing. Anyway, that's why I trained as a designer. I'm not a natural draftsman. There are some fabulous people out there who draw with a wonderful skill. David Gentleman, for example, he's absolutely brilliant. And I saw him, he came to my book launch, and I was thrilled that he came along, because I was a great admirer of his work. But he's got this wonderful eye, which it takes me a long time when I'm sitting outside. So I tend to use a little sketch. I mean, when I sketch, I tend to use a little sketchbook. I use photographs. Photographs are usually an aide-de-memoire. They're not used to, I don't sort of trace them off, and they're just there for me to remember, especially when I was doing the London one, where I was running around so much, I didn't have time. I'd love to spend, a day drawing some, a place, but that's wasn't allowed, really. So in here are some of the scribbles and re-scribbles from the book. So that's, if you want to look at those later on. And then in this one is more of the same. And you can more or less see my pea brain working and thinking about things and trying to rework it. I mean, for example, I really wanted to draw, I think you know King's Cross. King's Cross is a wonderful building, which looks like a windmill in the end.
Do you need any help?
On a strange end street. I'd love to have done it, but I couldn't for life of me to get it right. So that one got abandoned.
Okay. Well,
Anyway, so that's what I start with, and it really is a process of just.
We'll be finished by 4.
Square, which is not very good. So I will transfer that down, usually. So that's what I tend to do is to put it onto the block, and then using just a little tape to burnish it down. Look, the kids yesterday probably do better than I do today. Yeah. So then I would just, just using a pencil, just sort of, hopefully it's going to. And I use, I've discovered it's much nicer tracing paper, which is I buy it from Lyman's. It's not it's more like sort of greaseproof paper in a way. It has that quality of grease paper rather than really heavy tracing paper, which I don't really like. Men are such creatures of habit, I think. Once I find something, I get panicky if I can't find it again. So you want to sort of stock up on as much as possible.
By rubbing it,
it transfers. Because obviously I've drawn it up, so you just.
Yeah.
So this is going to be. So I'm going to see it hopefully.
So you always have to do it with pencil, I guess.
Yeah. But like you could use the back of a spoon or anything to. I mean, I could use the back of the pencil or
yes.
Because what happens at the end of the day, you get lead poisoning. You put so much lead down that you're. So, so when you take that off. You've got a.
No.
So that's that. But actually, there's in here. Just my little quick sketch over it. So really, now the process then would be not to redraw, but I would just to sort of strengthen any of those lines. So I then just make sure I know where those lines are going to. So I would like to do this as a print. The problem is I noticed that that's slightly off square. I'll just do the top part. And obviously the thing is that when you're cutting, if in doubt, leave it in rather than cut it out, because once it's cut out you can't return to it. So the best thing is to just sort of make sure that you leave it there. You can do a proof, check it, do it again. I mean, what I use an oil basting. So for youngsters like that, you can use a water basting. So you're going to get sort of oily paw prints everywhere. And I think I mean, I've left this fairly open, but part of it is to let it, to design as you're going along, really. So what I would do, I'll just do a little bit. This, the first thing I start with is that, and this hand should be out of the way of that hand. Health and safety. So usually it's yes. So health and safety. So what happens is that hand is, and I will score.
Is this going to be a positive or a negative print, actually?
So this will mostly be that will be mostly be this area will be white here. There'll be a lot of black in there. But I'm thinking about, because I was thinking, because you're thinking you're not going to do every single bloody brick there. I'll do suggestion of brick. I mean, this area there, which obviously, because you don't really draw, you can't really do perspective in Ireland. It's very hard. It looks totally wrong. It doesn't work. I mean, if one, for example, if I looked in this one here, best show you this. And if you looked at that, I mean, it's a perspective or suggestion of another plane is really done by tone or colour. I mean, you can't make, once you start making windows go at an angle, it looks horribly wrong. It never works. Even there, which is Maze Hill over in Greenwich, everything is it's a flat. It's scenery, really. It's just a series of planes described by colour. So then I will just,
Do you find it easy to work in a way that is the opposite to drawing? So when you're drawing, you draw the positive, and when you're cutting, you cut out.
yes. Yeah. Well, I suppose I've been doing it for such a long time now. I mean, and it's strange that I was when I was with they were level 8, year 8 at Switzerland. Of course, that's something we are thinking about. Oh, what would I do? And a lot of them were actually very good, because I tend to cut out